Plentyi family, whoever joined us last week. We do this every Wednesday. This is Ask Andrea Anything, and we discuss all issues that's relevant to parking tickets in New York City, which is probably relevant to people outside of New York City. So, last week we talked about how can you dispute a ticket, a parking ticket. This week we're going to talk about parking ticket brokers. So, we're going to be unpacking we're going to be unpacking parking ticket brokers, the companies or fixers who promise to reduce or dismiss the tickets or fight your tickets um, for a fee. Are they worth it? When do they help? Um, when should you self-serve? And what red flags should you watch out for? So we're just going to go through it and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about like when would you use a parking ticket broker? First of all, I didn't even know that parking ticket brokers existed. This is new to me. I always thought like as a person who has a ticket, first thing you do is you try to see if you can fight it on your own. But I guess depending on if you have like thousands of dollars in tickets or if you got hundreds of dollars in tickets, it makes sense to get a parking ticket broker who can actually go through the process and fight it for you. So what is a broker? A parking ticket broker, I have the definition here. A parking ticket broker is a third party that contests tickets on your behalf, which means they try to fight the ticket on your behalf. They gather photos, they draft affidavits, they file disputes, and handle hearings or appeals. They are not the city, right? They use the same channels as available to you, just at scale. So that's what they do. So they pretty much everything that you would do for yourself to dispute a ticket, they dispute it for you. That's what they do. And they do it for a fee. So sometimes it depends on the company. They have different pricing models. So you have one company that might charge you a flat fee ticket of $25 to $75, or they might charge you a percentage. It could be 30 to 50% of the amount of the fine. So, like for example, you might have a ticket that's, let me see, $500, right? So if you have, well, not, I hope it's not one ticket that's $500, but maybe you have multiple tickets that's $500, and they will ask that you pay them if they win, right? If they win the case and they'll charge you 50% of that, which means that they will ask for $250. So I guess it depends on the person. Like if you feel like that's something that might be beneficial to you, I can see like if you have a whole bunch of tickets and you're trying to fight these tickets and taking time off of work, trying to get the affidavits to get pictures together, write in the appeal. If you have to go in person, like I can see where that might be a little bit troublesome and it could be time consuming for someone. So I get that, right? So what sounds good versus what's real? So they do draft and they do submit disputes. That's real. They actually do that. But what's not real is that they can't guarantee that they will win the ticket. So I've noticed that I've seen a lot of parking ticket brokers that they'll say, well, we'll fight the ticket, and if we win, we'll pay a fee, right? You would pay the fee. But if you see someone coming along saying, hey, we can guarantee you 100% success or guaranteed dismissal, I would say run. Because like that's false, right? Because actually, and for them to kind of set themselves up like that, you want to just be mindful of that. So those are red flags that you want to look at. No one can promise an outcome. It can't. So, and just to kind of go over, like, let's say you have a broker, and a broker on a percentage model, they get it reduced to $60, and it takes 40% of the savings. So savings are $55, so the fee is $22. So you pay $60 plus $82 equal 80. No, excuse me. You pay $60 plus $22, and it equals to $82. So you actually save um, $33 versus paying $115. So if a broker charges you a $49 flat fee and wins a dismissal, you pay $49 and you save $66. Now, if you do it yourself and you get a dismissal, it's $0. It's out of your pocket, right? But sometimes people don't have the time and the energy to actually to spend disputing the ticket, right? So they hire a parking ticket broker. So when would it make sense for you to hire a broker? Um, you're short on time, like I said, or you're not familiar with the process. The process sometimes could be overwhelming. It seems like it's overwhelming, especially if you're trying to fight multiple tickets at one time. So, and if the case is technical, like meter calibration, wrong plates, or a tow, a boot, a paperwork issue. So it's something that's very technical that requires a lot of work or requires you to reach out to different agencies and you have to take time off and then you're not really sure exactly what approach you should take. That might be a perfect time for you to, especially like if somebody used your registration and it was a fraud registration or they license plates, they took your license plates and used it on their car, like anything like that that requires a little bit more work on your end, this might be an opportunity for you to hire a broker. And like I said, if you have multiple, if you have multiple tickets, so if you have about $1,000 worth of tickets, yeah, I think you probably should get a broker if you don't have the time to fight it. It's up to you. Um, or if you run a small fleet, so if you have trucks, New York, I know in New York we have a lot of delivery trucks in New York, and they always getting ticketed. Like I don't even think they find. I've seen like they get towed. Like I think New York City Department of like the Department of Finance and the officers, like they actually have like trucks that can tow away trucks. So yeah, you're not you actually in the same boat as our regular drivers. So if you have a business or if you have a truck and you have these tickets, that actually might be a reason for you to hire a broker. Um, and if you also like if you pass the early payment discount window, but still want to try for a reduction, so they might actually be able to give you the dues. They might be able to figure out a way that they can get you a reduction on your tickets. So, when is the time that you should skip a broker and you should try to do it on your own? It depends on the person, right? So here, you already have documentation. So if you have clear photos, timestamps, receipts, do it yourself approach could be straightforward. If you're familiar with the approach, if you've been down this road like multiple times, which I've probably been around this multiple times. So if you've been down this road multiple times and you know the process, then yeah, there might be a best reason for you to skip a broker. The fine is low enough that a flat fee wipes out savings, right? So it's like, the ticket is $60 and then the fee is like $50 right, or a little bit lower than that. Like, is it worth it? Like, you have to look at it, you have to just do a cost analysis on the ticket. So if the ticket is very low, it might not really benefit for you to hire a broker. And that the service demands upfront payment with no refund and no transparency. So if you come across a ticket broker who wants to actually get their money up front, they won't guarantee you a refund. You're not really sure exactly what it looks like. Yeah, you might want to skip that broker and maybe go to another one, right? So that's what I would say. So the things that you want to look out for, right, when you're hiring a parking ticket broker, you want to watch out for guaranteed winning market, well, excuse me, guaranteed win marketing. So if you have a broker that's telling you, hey, we can guarantee that we can guarantee that your ticket that will win you this parking ticket, yeah, no one can guarantee you anything, right? So we know that for a fact. So that's a red flag. If they don't have no written fee structure, or it's very vague, and you're not really sure exactly how they will get paid, or if they do win the case, how much you're going to have to pay them, that's a red flag. Those are the things you want to look out for when you actually looking to hire a parking ticket broker. And then it's auto new subscription that are hard to cancel. So you have some parking ticket brokers that they have a subscription that you could pay monthly into it and they'll fight your tickets. And that's interesting because if you get tickets on a monthly basis and you got to pay for a subscription to pay for to fight tickets, I think it's something deeper that we need to do. Because that's deep right there that you actually have to pay subscription. I don't know, that might be in my case. So I know New Yorkers is very hard because it seems like as soon as you get out of that cycle, like you paid your tickets off, you got like $200, $300 worth of tickets, and now you got to the last ticket. You don't have any more tickets in the system. You feel good. You walking out and you're doing well, and then boom, you get a ticket again, right? And then it seems like once you get another ticket, it's contagious. You get another ticket. So that you're like right back in that vicious cycle, that parking, that New York City parking ticket cycle. So I get it. So a subscription might be necessary in those particular cases. So then instead of you having to pay one time upfront, you just pay a subscription. And then when you need to and you just fight that parking ticket, you can call up the company and they'll tell you what the steps you have to take. But you want to be careful if you're dealing with a subscription, auto renew subscription that is hard to cancel. And I've been in that. Like I've been, dealing with businesses that you sign up $5 for this first for them to do a service one time, and that's they charging you $40 a month. And then when you try to contact them to get out of the cancel to remove them the subscription, you can't get them on the phone. The email, you send them emails, they don't respond to your emails, right? Or they tell you, oh yeah, well you can't cancel it because you signed up for $39 a month and it's a year, so you have to pay for a whole year, 12 months worth of monthly subscriptions. So you just want to make sure like you check all these things out. You want to make sure when you are signing up for a subscription that you look at what the cancellation policy is for that subscription. And that's in any situation. And I need to follow that for myself too. So what I'm saying is that in a situation like that and you're not really sure what it is, make sure you check the cancellation policy for the subscription because you don't want to find yourself paying monthly for something and it's hard for you to get out and you wind up spending more money on a subscription than on the parking ticket. And that just don't make no sense, right? Okay, and then also no privacy policy, no address or real support channel. So if you see there's no privacy policy on it, and you want to be mindful of that because you want to make sure that they do protect your privacy. You want to make sure that they don't sell your information to another company. And I think when we talk about it here, yeah, we're talking about in this particular company and this particular service, but I think we should be mindful of that in anything we do, right? When we are handing over our information, because you're handing over pictures of the location they have access to some of the information that you sharing with them. They're going to be restoring it somewhere, and they're going to have like a log of all the tickets that you have. Are they going to take that information and share it with someone else? You want to make sure. If they don't have an address, I know like a lot of companies, they do work maybe out of their home or they don't or like a cold space, like maybe they don't have actually an office, a brick and mortar. I mean, we're in this age now that you don't necessarily need to have a brick and mortar anymore, but there should be some type of address that they have in place. So now people have virtual addresses that they use for their businesses because it just looks scammy if you don't have it, right? It just looks kind of scammy. So, and then also no real support channel. So, like, if you don't have no way to contact them, like, you can't send them an email, you can't send them you can't call them on the phone, and or it's very like sketchy. Like, be careful. Like, that's happened to me. Like, I've had businesses that I purchase something and I try to call them on the phone, they don't pick up the phone, they send me the voicemail. I leave a message, no one gets back to me. So you want to just make sure when you reach out to these type of companies, that these parking ticket brokers, that you be aware of all these red flags. And another one, if you call up and they have like this high pressure, like today only discount, you want to make sure that you be careful of that too. Why are they pressuring you to spend money to fight the parking tickets? Like I think we should kind of be careful in any situation like that. Like when they like being very hostile, like they want you to sign up now today. Yeah, I kind of I get pushed back a little bit, right? I mean, that's like anything that, someone trying to date you or someone trying to get your phone number, they kind of like very pushy. You're like, just be easy. I just met you, right? So that's how we look at it. So those are the red flags that you want to think about. So here, like we talked about before, like how you can dispute your tickets, do it yourself. That's something we talked about, but I'll just go over it very briefly. If you do get a ticket and you want to dispute it yourself, first thing, you probably don't pay the ticket. I hate to say that, but don't pay the ticket. Don't pay it yet. And as I say, if you come out your house, come out wherever you at, whatever location you're at, and you see that you have a ticket there, right? Then what you do is you look at your surroundings and you take a picture. Take a picture of where your car is parked at, take a picture of the signs, take it right there at that particular area. And then you want to check to see if there's any signs that there might be discrepancy. Maybe the sign there is not legible. Maybe there's two signs there. So one sign is telling you that you could park from 8:30 to 10 a.m. The other other sign is telling you got to park there from 1 o'clock to 3:30 p.m. Just throwing that number out there. And then you were parked within the time that you thought which was the right time. So you want to make sure, and then like just kind of, I had to like kind of go from the block and just go from the to end of the block and just kind of look at the area and just take pictures and all those things that you need, because when you're writing when you're disputing your ticket, they're going to ask for evidence, and that's the evidence that you want to have in place. And then tell a tight story, like tell it from the time that you park your vehicle, especially if you feel like you could dispute this ticket, because you might be able to dispute the ticket. If, like I said, if you feel like the signs wasn't there correctly, they weren't legible, or just say your car broke down, or the parking meter, the meter wasn't working, anything like that. You want to make sure you have a tight story and that you can actually like say to them like, okay, this is what happened at this particular time, and just kind of break it down for them, because this is your story. You're telling them a story. The judge that's actually the administrative judge that's reading this appeal, they need to understand exactly, and they need to see it, right? It's like a book. Have you ever read a book and you read in a book, and the way that the author is writing a book, you can actually imagine what's happening. You can visualize what's happening. I'm not saying write a book, but I'm just saying that you want to be as detailed, and then you take your appeal along your written appeal with your pictures, so you can use both of them to fight your tickets. So, and then also just remember that to avoid any penalties and you do get a ticket, don't pay the ticket, but start to appeal it. Don't, if you wait after 30 days for you get the appeal, 30 days after if you wait 30 days after you receive the ticket, then you will be penalized. And if they don't fight the ticket, right, if they don't dismiss the ticket, then you still have to pay that penalty. So just be mindful of that, okay? So I just wanted to give you some quick tips we talked about before. Just very briefly, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm glad that you actually joined us today. And today we talked about, if you need to fight a ticket, would you hire a parking ticket broker? And I want you to be careful that, because actually I went to the New York City Department of Finance, and there's actually parking ticket brokers on there that they guess their broker license was suspended, because obviously they did something that was not was a violation of the requirements when it comes to the Department of Parking, the parking department. So that's what I think. But I would love to go into more details about that, and maybe next time. But yes, so what is a broker? A broker is a parking ticket a parking ticket broker is a third party that contests tickets on your behalf. They gather photos, draft affidavits, file disputes, and they handle hearings or appeals. They're not the city. They do not represent the Department of Finance. They do not represent New York City at all. They use the same channels that available to you. That's their professional, right? They've done it so many times. They probably are really good at it, right? So that's what we want to remember. And also, you want to figure out, is it worth to actually get a broker? When does it make sense to hire a broker? So if you have a broker, if you have a short on time, you're working, you're going to school, you have a business, and you're not familiar with the process, then it actually might be a good reason for you to hire a broker. If the case is technical, like there was like signage contradiction, like I talked about, like you have two signs there. One sign is saying to park at this particular time. The other one is saying that, and you're really not really sure how that you should do it. You might want to hire a broker. And then also, you have multiple tickets, right? So if you have like $1,000 worth of tickets, yeah, it might be like altogether $1,000 worth of tickets, and you want to hire someone to actually see if they could reduce the amount of tickets, and that'd be awesome, right? Or actually get some of the tickets dismissed. I get that when you might want to hire a broker, but you want to be mindful that there are certain fees that you have to pay. So some parking ticket brokers, they have different pricing models. So one might charge you a flat fee of $25 to $75, or another one might charge you a percentage model, like 30 to 50% off of the amount, um, the fine, right? So like like I said, if you had $1,000 a ticket, they might charge you 50% of that, and you pay $500, right? It might be worth it. Me, I might fight it out. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I've been down this road a couple of times. I think I probably could be a parking ticket broker myself if I really worked at it. And then also there might be a subscription, so like monthly coverage for a set of number of tickets. So like if you sign up with a company, they might say, hey, if you pay this amount of money, we will cover a certain amount of tickets. We'll fight a certain amount of tickets. And I'll be honest with you, if somebody is doing that, if you have that many tickets per month and they paying, whoo, child, God bless you. Because I know it's hard out here. I'm telling you, every time you feel like you're getting out of that cycle of tickets, you're right back in it again. So, and I just want to say that. And then when it's time for you to skip a broker. So if you have a parking ticket broker, if you're thinking about hiring a parking ticket broker, right? When is the time for you to actually skip it? If you already have the documentation, right? If you already got photos, you have timestamps, receipts, and if you already been down this road, right? If you already did it, you're familiar with it, you might not want to hire a ticket broker, a parking ticket broker. And if the fine is very low, if it's like $35 or something like that, like really low, like is it really worth to hire someone if the fee is $49 and the ticket is $40? Like, are you really saving money? So you got to think about that, because like if you have to like pay like through automatic payment, you have to pay probably a service fee, you probably pay you have to pay taxes on it, and by the time you do all that, it's more than the ticket. Might not be worth it. So those are the things you want to think about. And again, red flags to watch out for. Would they guarantee that they can win your case? You want to make sure, because nothing is guaranteed, right? There's no written fee structure. You're not really sure what their fee is, or how much they're going to charge you if they do win a case, or do they charge you still, even though you have to pay, even though even though they didn't win your case. Those are the things you want to look out for. So anyway, well, that sums it up. I would love to see if we have anybody in the audience that wants to talk about flat fee versus savings. What's actually cheaper? So in my mind, I look at it like the flat fee versus the savings is a cheaper. It just depends, right? If the fee is, like we said, $49 and the ticket is $40, is it really worth hiring a parking ticket broker? It probably is not. If the broker loses, do you still have to pay if the broker loses the case? And a lot of times they don't make you pay. From my research that I've done, they'll say like, hey, if we don't win the case, then you don't have to pay. And if they do make you pay, you probably, first of all, you want to just make sure that they don't make you pay. Look at their pricing model structure to see if you have to pay like $49 up front or $50 up front or anything like that. Then you want to be like kind of be mindful of that and just kind of like maybe look around for other type of parking ticket brokers. But most of the time, they do not ask you to pay up front for the tickets. Um, what if you already paid? Can you still contest it? I mean, that's the tricky part. In New York City, when you pay the ticket, it's like you admitted that you guilty. In your mind, you guilty because you paid the ticket, right? So yeah, that's something you want to think. So if you are in that place next time, do not pay the ticket if you feel like you can fight it. Even if you fight it on your own, or you hire someone, don't pay the ticket, but do not wait too late to start disputing the ticket because you don't want to be penalized, right? Um, how do you handle a ticket on a rental company car? That's a good question. Um, I think normally you would handle it the same way you would handle it if it was your car. You would still have to fight the ticket, um, because you know you did get the ticket, and like I've had that issue with like U-Haul, and people you get a ticket with U-Haul, and then you park your truck there, and then you get penalized. So it's like you're still going to be held responsible at the end of the day, right? Is this then the next question asks, what if signage changed after I parked? In my opinion, they might be able to see that, right? I don't know the answer to that one, but I would say that if you want to dispute a ticket right then and there, if you come out and you see that ticket there, take pictures right then and there. Start taking your pictures, start building up your evidence for your appeal to dispute that ticket. That's what you want to do. So to avoid all of that, just remember, if you get a ticket, you feel like you listen, pick up the ticket first, look at the ticket, and if you feel like that you might, and then still take the pictures. But then, and then, like we said, take pictures, get your site a tight story of why you feel like this ticket is wrong and you want them to dismiss the ticket. And then also look up the parking violation rule because they actually might be right. So you need to be careful of that. You want to make sure you don't want to start putting all this work in and, calling up a parking ticket broker and doing all this other stuff and come to find out you was in violation of the parking rule, right? So you want to do your homework. Do as much homework as you can when it comes to disputing a ticket. Okay, so here we go. So thank you, everyone. So if you're time poor or overwhelmed, if you don't have the time and you're overwhelmed, right? A reputable broker can be worth it. But just do the math and read the fine print. If you got clear evidence, do it yourself may be the cheapest win. So, and remember, the Plentyi on-demand parking app. That's who we are. You can always book with us, and you don't have to worry about getting a ticket, and you'll be good. So, that being said, thank you everyone for joining us, and have a blessed evening. And we'll see you next week here at Ask Andrea Anything when it comes to parking. Take care. Good night.